Donald Trump's hush money trial. Prosecutor Josh Steinglass telling jurors the state has presented a mountain of evidence against the former president. He also defended the testimony from Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, and slammed the defense's assertion here that Stormy Daniels was out to extort Trump. Now, the former president's legal team earlier delivering its closing arguments attacking Cohen, calling him, quote, the MVP of liars, the human embodiment of reasonable doubt, and the GLOAT, standing for the greatest liar of all time. Now, this, of course, marks the final major phase of this trial before the case goes to the jury. Today's proceedings are set to stretch well into the evening until the prosecution wraps up its case. And joining me for more on this is ABC News investigative reporter Olivia Rubin, who is live outside the court in Lower Manhattan, along with ABC News senior reporter Katherine Faulders and Adam Shlahet, who is the director of the Brendan Moore Trial Advocacy Center at Fordham Law School. I'm so glad to have you all here with us. And so, Olivia, let's start here with you, noting that it sounds like they've just taken, about a 20-minute break here, so there's a slight pause in proceedings in court right now. So, Olivia, can you bring us up to speed with the latest from the prosecution, who seems to have spent a lot of time reacting directly to the defense's closing arguments, while also at the same time doing their best to rehabilitate their star witness, Michael Cohen, here, pointing out they didn't pick him, but in essence, Donald Trump did.
That's exactly right. It was sort of a remarkable quip from Josh Steinglass as he was talking about Michael Cohen, saying that, sure, Michael Cohen has his issues, but this is someone that Donald Trump hired. This is who Donald Trump chose to have around him. This is not who we picked to have as a star witness. And he joked, he said, we didn't pick him out from the witness store. And it sort of exemplified the past few hours from Joshua Steinglass and how he has walked the jury through evidence that they have laid out over the past several weeks here for them in a very sort of conversational, informal tone, like he is talking to a friend, to a family member, to a coworker, going back through everything that Todd Blanche tried to poke a hole in and taking his own time, as I said, to walk them through every piece of evidence once again. The text messages, the emails, the meetings, the testimony from the 20 witnesses that they presented, telling them why this was a conspiracy and why Donald Trump was tied to these records. Just before that break, he was talking about sort of the damaging effect of the Access Hollywood tape. This is what they have said sparked the need to buy Stormy Daniels' story, the panic that it created. Todd Blanche had tried to say that there was no panic at all, that they had overplayed it and that there was no motive. But again, Josh Steinglass reclaiming that moment and walking the jurors through everyone that testified that it was a stunning moment for Donald Trump's campaign, specifically Hope Hicks. But like you said, it is going into a break right now at 5:02. Kana, normally court would be done by now, but Judge Merchan just saying that jurors have made accommodations until 7 or 8 o'clock at night to stay here so that they can get through the closing arguments and then get the case tomorrow to begin deliberations.
Right, a real commitment to go into the evening here. And that Access Hollywood conversation, that Access Hollywood tape, it caught my attention as well, Olivia, because everyone will remember that when they were trying to figure out how these jury instructions would play out, defense lawyers asked the judge to include an instruction that clarified how prominent Republicans and members of the public reacted to that tape, because they knew the prosecution would go so hard at that. And in that point, Katherine, you're really seeing today in these arguments both the defense and the prosecution showing different sides of the same coin here, essentially, and trying to sell their case to the jury.
Yeah, you can, and it's what you saw Trump's lead defense attorney Todd Blanche try and do with the prosecution's case. He flipped it on its head, if you will. Whether that works with the jury remains to be seen. But what Blanche did, Trump's lawyer, essentially tried to normalize a lot of what you heard, a lot of these catch-and-kill schemes, a lot of these payments, whether it be the Stormy Daniels payment, the Karen McDougal payment. He said, this isn't a crime. This is normal. It happens all the time, he said. And he referred to people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rahm Emanuel having similar relationships with AMI. So that, at least, is what the Trump defense is trying to do. Now, in the beginning of the prosecution's closing statements, they, of course, wanted to rebut all that and said, no, this is not normal. This was election. This was a crime to cover up something before an election, before the 2016 election, so it wouldn't hurt Trump in the election. So they being the prosecutors, went and poked holes. They attempted to poke holes, and obviously what the Trump defense was trying to normalize here. They also did that as it related to credibility. We saw Trump's lawyers focus a lot on the credibility of Michael Cohen. They said not only did he lie in the past, but he's actually lied to you, the jury, on the witness stand. That's what Trump's lawyers allege. Also something the prosecutors went through and said that's not true what Trump's lawyers are saying. He didn't lie about X, Y, and Z, and showed particular evidence that they believe Cohen corroborated.
Right, and the state, of course, acknowledging, yes, maybe he lied in the past, but he's telling the truth now, trying to convince the jury that this was his moment of being honest. But Adam, to you also, Blanche, on the defense side here, he also argued that by default, because of what he says is the lack of specifics in this case, that right there, that is reasonable doubt. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think Steinglass is doing a very, very good job of going through all of those specifics in incredible detail, right? He's really going through the timeline, email by email, phone call by phone call, every single day leading up to that transaction. And so I think that goes directly to counter Blanche's assertion. And, Blanche had a hard time weaving a very clear narrative because the defense didn't really have a clear narrative, right? They were arguing that he didn't know what he was signing, but if he did know what he was signing, it was totally legitimate. And that's a very difficult story to tell, right? So Steinglass has an easier job in that respect, in that he has a real clear narrative of what happened, why it happened, and how it all fits together.
All right. Well, again, this continues to go on. They're taking a slight break here, and they will be back here in the courtroom momentarily. It sounds like we have a long evening ahead of us. Olivia, Katherine, and Adam, thank you for being with us here today.